Ron DeSantis challenged Kamala Harris with fire. She answered with 5 words, and the entire studio erupted. He came to debate. She came with one fact. Guess who won the room? Whose side are you on? Freedom or fairness? Because what you're about to witness might just challenge both. The stage was divided. Red, blue, 2 podiums, 1 crowd, ready for fireworks. Ron DeSantis took the first shot. Kamala Harris doesn't want education. She wants indoctrination. Florida doesn't erase history. We just don't let it be rewritten with political ink. Cheers erupted from one side of the studio. DeSantis leaned in. When did schools become therapy sessions? When did reading lists become battlegrounds? And more importantly, when did federal leadership forget that parents, not politicians, raise children? He turned to Harris. Tell me, Vice President, do you really believe banning biased content is the same as banning truth? The crowd hushed. All eyes turned to Harris. She didn't speak. She just slowly opened a thin folder on her podium. No fire, no drama, just one document, one headline, and one printed email. The screen behind them lit up. Florida student literacy rates decline. Post-curriculum ban. Gasps. She looked up, calm, razor sharp. You asked if I confuse truth with bias, but what do you call it when removing a book removes a student's future with it? Would you call that freedom or just control in disguise? Comment below. Who's got it right so far, Ron or Kamala? Harris didn't raise her voice. She raised a fact. She held up the email. This came from a school administrator in Jacksonville. Her name is Marla. She unfolded the paper. The moderator projected the text behind them. Dear Madam Vice President, since the curriculum ban, our literacy program lost 42% of its book list. Our students now read less, not better. DeSantis shifted slightly, arms still crossed, but his jaw tightened. Harris continued. That same school saw a 19% drop in standardized reading scores in just 1 year. She placed the page gently back down. No slogans, no spin, just consequence. The studio was silent, only a few pens scribbling in media rows. DeSantis spoke up. You're cherry-picking isolated cases. We're protecting kids from radical ideologies. Harris raised an eyebrow. Protecting them from what? Stories where the hero doesn't look like them? Narratives where freedom means being seen, not just tested. A murmur moved through the crowd. She turned to them. I want to hear from you watching this. Is protecting children the same as erasing their reflection from the page? What would you call it? Protection or suppression? Drop your thoughts in the comments. This isn't just about politics. It's about whose voice gets printed and whose gets erased. DeSantis stepped forward, his tone sharpened. Vice President Harris speaks in emotions. I came with numbers. He gestured to the moderator. The screen behind them flashed. Student performance, parental control districts versus federal-funded districts. His voice carried more force now. Where local leaders, not DC bureaucrats, shape classrooms, we see higher attendance, better discipline, and fewer political disruptions. Some claps, sparse but confident. You want to talk about reflections? Let's reflect on responsibility. He turned to Harris. You confuse discomfort with injustice, but growth requires challenge. Harris said nothing. Not yet. She calmly reached back into her folder, pulled out a sheet. Just one. Governor, this is a 2021 school report from a district you personally praised, right here in Florida. She held it up. It shows a 12-point drop in reading comprehension among minority students after the state-enforced curriculum shift. A sharp intake of breath from the studio. DeSantis blinked. Recognition flickered. He had quoted that report on a podcast. Harris paused, looked directly at the audience. So let me ask you watching at home, if the policy sounds strong, but the students get weaker, is that leadership or branding? What's your take? Is this smart reform or short-term politics? Comment your thoughts. We want to hear every side. DeSantis looked at the report. His own signature was on the original version, top right corner. He didn't speak immediately. The crowd sensed it. The energy shifted from clash to something closer to curiosity. You're twisting that data, he finally said. It doesn't tell the full story. Harris nodded. Exactly. That's why we're supposed to read it, not restrict it. Silence. Then, surprisingly, DeSantis leaned on the podium. So what's your solution? Endless spending? Federal control over every school hallway? Harris stepped forward. Not control, collaboration. Let's fund literacy without filtering identity. The screen behind them changed again. A photo of a classroom. Kids of different backgrounds holding the same book. Caption: one story, 1,000 mirrors. The audience didn't cheer. They just listened. DeSantis looked at the image, then lowered his voice. I didn't want to erase anyone. I just didn't want the system lying to them either. Harris nodded again, softer now. Then maybe the answer isn't fewer books, but better ones. What do you think? Can two sides actually meet in the middle when it comes to kids' futures? Be honest. Tell us in the comments if you see a path forward, or just more noise. Harris reached down, pulled out a crisp envelope, and held it up. Inside this, she said, is a proposed bipartisan pilot program focused on literacy equity. She stepped toward DeSantis, extending it across the stage. No press, no party name on the headline, just policy and students. DeSantis didn't move at first, but he didn't reject it either. He looked at the envelope. How many dollars? $30 million, 10 districts, 3 years, measured outcomes, public and transparent. The crowd murmured. DeSantis glanced toward the audience, then at the screen behind them, still showing the students with books. You really think we can do this without a circus? Harris smiled. Only if we agree that kids deserve more than campaign slogans. He walked to the edge of his podium, took the envelope, didn't open it, just said, if this is real, I'll bring it to committee. Applause broke out. Not wild, not partisan, just honest. 2 months later, a quiet press conference was held, not in Washington, but in a public school library in Tampa. Kamala Harris and Ron DeSantis sat side by side. No podiums, just books, and students behind them. Harris spoke first. We didn't agree on everything. We probably never will. But we found one sentence we both believed. Every child deserves to see themselves in a story. DeSantis nodded. And if leadership means anything, it means knowing when to stop fighting and start building. The camera panned over to the pilot district's first classroom. A young girl, dark-skinned, bright-eyed, reading a book titled The World Inside Me. Her teacher smiled quietly, then wrote 3 words on the whiteboard. Representation, reading, respect. That photo trended within hours. So did the hashtag #FromDebate to In a high school in Texas, a civics teacher paused the video and asked her students, "Do you believe they meant it?" One student raised his hand. It doesn't matter if they meant it. What matters is that a kid like me can read that book now. Now it's your turn. Do you believe a fierce debate can end in real progress? Or is it all just political theater? Let's make the comments section the next real conversation. We're listening. Like, subscribe, and share if you believe kids deserve more than politics. They deserve pages that include them.